I'm not saying that you should kiss every director's ass, but I'm saying you should have an ounce of respect. Hello, this is Andy S83.
And this is Dr. D.
And welcome to another episode of Dr. D and me talk about movies and TV. Rate, subscribe, and comment.
Coming at you live from Love City.
Anyway, today we're going to talk about the following question. Are bad movie directors really that bad? You see, if you go on YouTube or anywhere else, you will find Feinschmeckers. That's your term. You used it in an earlier episode, and I like it. Like the Nostalgia Critic. I'm sorry, but I love them. But I also noticed that they are Feinschmeckers, and that's Red Letter Media, especially Jay. Have you seen Red Letter Media?
Yes, I've seen it.
The Jay character, or he's a real person, I know that. But you still are a character when you are on. You don't know who Jay really is. You know how he portrays himself in. Never mind. The point is, as in that show, I sometimes experience him to be a Feinschmecker. Red Letter Media is recommended by me. But the point is that Jay has a tendency to be a little bit patronizing at times. That's my point. You haven't noticed that, but I have at least. Like sometimes he can be like, "This is so below me."
So Jay, what did you think of Jurassic World?
First of all, I thought this movie sucked. There were a number of Stephen King TV movie adaptations made in the late 80s, early 90s, and every single one of them sucks. I did not realize how beloved this TV movie was until the promotional material for the new one started to come out. A classic book that only anyone remembers because of Tim Curry in a TV movie made in 1990. It turns into a claymation Gumby man.
Yes.
And goes down into the sewer.
So, yeah.
Hello there, my name is Fasching Quaxia, and I'm here with Sugar Lily.
I don't like those stupid ass Saw movies or things like
Well,
Today should be a wonderful event as she vomits all over me, as I have been feeding the horse burritos, chocolate, and epicac.
I don't want to say I hated it, but I did not like it and I wanted to leave.
This is an egg. This is an egg. This is an egg. This is an egg.
Oh, look at the wonderful color.
But everybody loved the kids, so they're like, we got to put the kids in the second movie too. We got to bring them all back and shoehorn them in and to make the movie even fucking longer.
This is an egg.
Taste the rainbow. It's an orgy of color all over your face. Oh my god, the intestinal lining came out. That's amazing. I've never seen this before. It must be reacting to the gobstoppers.
It's like, it's not the worst thing ever. I was bored while watching it because I didn't care about what was happening. I wish there was expanded more on the theme park stuff. If you just want to see like a fun monster movie, I guess it works on that level.
It's so clearly that some movies, like, I don't know, Jurassic Park, what's the newest one called? Not the
World.
newest. No, not that one. There was the other one.
Jurassic World?
Yeah, it was just Jurassic World, actually. Like, that's so below him. It becomes patronizing after a while. That's my point. It becomes patronizing when it's sort of like, oh, this is bad, this is so bad, this is so bad. And that is the problem that I want to address a little bit now, or we are going to address now, is that are bad movie directors really that bad? Now, we're mainly going to talk about 4, I think, and that is Night Shyamalan, who we may even debate is bad, but I think many critics like to say is bad, right?
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about Michael Bay a little bit, and then Uwe Boll a little bit, and then Ed Wood a little bit.
And probably some other we just mentioned here and there.
Yeah, if we can think some. Like that guy who made The Room, you know, that's also like, is he really a bad movie director?
I'm so tired of that guy.
Yeah, I know, and I'm tired of The Room, and I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, it's so funny because it's bad." And to be honest, I haven't seen The Room. I have it. I borrowed it from a friend, and I've seen like 5 minutes of it or something, and then I skimmed through the rest to just know what it is. But I don't find worst movie ever made to be a selling point, you know?
No, I watched The Room before the whole Tommy is so hype kicked into high gear.
I think that's a lie. Why would you watch? How could you have heard of that movie before it became famous?
Some French name dropped it. It was semi-hyped. It was still underground hype status, and then everybody should be referencing it.
Oh yes.
I don't want to see the disaster artist yet because I'm kind of tired of the whole Room.
No, I haven't seen that one either, and I don't watch movies just because everybody else is watching it and because everybody else is talking about it. Again, am I a snob? Am I a feinschmecker? Probably not, because I don't watch a movie because it's bad or
Probably
because it's good.
sometimes you're a snob.
The point is, I don't watch a movie because it's bad, or I don't watch a movie because it's good. I will make my own bleeping mind. That's the point. Now, I have made some notes here. It seems to me that, okay, we all know that humans can be sheep-like people, you know, right? They all...
Yeah, I heard that term many times.
Now, I'm not a misanthrope, or perhaps I am, but I'm not like a narcissistic type. There are two types of misanthropes: people that acknowledges human faults, and that's the normal type. And then there are misanthropes that are narcissistic, and they're like, every human being is shit except me. I am the exception. It always implies that everybody else are stupid except me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not that kind, but I do acknowledge that a lot of people are like sheep. And when people say like M. Night Shyamalan is bad, and everybody else seems to, oh yes, he's bad, let's go all together and hate all M. Night Shyamalan is making. Like that seems to be like the point. That like they're looking forward to the next M. Night Shyamalan movie so they can watch it. They make their own goddamn stupid little YouTube video telling how bad it is. Oh my god, did you watch the latest one? How bad was it? He doesn't have any antennas. It's just blah, 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 blah. And just critique it. And I'm not critique it. That's a good word. That's analyzing and weighing. They're just slandering it. They're pulling it down.
And those hopes were quickly sliced and diced into a million tiny little pieces last year when M. Night Shyamalan, or as I prefer to call him, M. Night Shambles on.
Hilarious!
M. Night Shyamalan.
Hilarious!
I could get past that fucking door and kill that family if I really wanted to. Water? Are you fucking kidding me? Water! The alien's only weakness, aside from kitchen knives, I guess, is water.
Hilarious!
So where does the movie Signs fit in? Well, it's not quite as good as The Sixth Sense or Unbreakable, but it's not quite as bad as The Happening or The Village or Lady in the Water.
Thank you, mister. I've seen a lot of movies, so I know a lot about movies. Guy.
Out there destroying the work and we'll get back to it, and deliberately misunderstanding a movie too. Like, for instance, they watch, I'm jumping ahead there, but they're watching M. Night Shyamalan movies and believing that they are supposed to be understood realistically, when they're so obviously many of those movies are made symbolically, metaphorically. What's the last word? Anna.
Analytical?
No, yeah, that's what we do, but it's something like a metaphor, but it's not a metaphor, it's something.
Anagram?
Who cares? I'll put it on the screen, like I always do if I can't remember it. Anyway, the point is, M. Night Shyamalan wants to become an artist. Or he is an artist. We can debate that. But he has artistic ideas that makes his movies You could call them pretentious. You can call them artistic, whatever you want to call it. But they are not supposed to be completely understood as a realistic thing. They are dreamlike. They are artistic. And we'll get back to that both with M. Night Shyamalan and Ed Wood. Is that Feinschmeckers love art movies, right? Like modernistic movies like Hiroshima Mon Amour. Have you seen that one?
Yep.
Yeah. And Fellini's 8.5. Oh, that's a great movie. Everything is floating. Everything is bleak.
Or that Amelie movie.
Which I haven't seen, but I've seen those two that I name dropped, but I haven't seen your one. But you know, art movies.
Yeah.
Where everything is like floating, everything is like metaphorical. It's so clearly not to be understood this and that way. And then Feinschmeckers love those movies, right? How impressive. By the way, I like Fellini's 8.5. I really like that one. But I didn't like Hiroshima Mon Amour. But the point is that both of those movies are very same in that they are floating, slightly pretentious, symbolic. And then people accept that because it's Fellini, because it's that French guy, Ramini.
French guy means Jean-Pierre Jeunet?
No, Hiroshima Mon Amour. Who made that one?
I don't know.
I'll find out. But I think it's something René. I think it's something like that. René.
Is that the one where somebody says, "You were never in Hiroshima. You were never there"?
Yes.
Yeah,
and you're
remember seeing it.
Yes, and then we have that scene. You're so good for me. Audience, you have to understand this is in French. No, I will have my drink there. Thank you. You will just not spoil.
I'm protecting your asset here.
Yes, but I need it somewhere close. So we'll have it there. I haven't yet to spill any cider on my computer. If that happens today, it's your fault. Hiroshima, Mon Amour. I'm sure it's something with R. René or René, something like that. Alain Renez. He made it. Alain René. Wow. And in that movie, in French, she says, "You're so good for me. You're so bad for me." That's like something they also go through. And then they basically walk around in Hiroshima for like 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Talking, not talking, talking, not talking. Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's really smart. And then M. Night Shyamalan or Ed Wood does the same type of artistic creativity. And it's like, oh, it's bad because it's in Hollywood. And in Hollywood, you can't have artistic license. You can't be creative. But we'll get back to that when we talk about both those artists. But right now, I want to go to psychology. You see, humans are like sheep sometimes, and the best thing they can do is get together and start hating something, right? I'm so smart. Look how stupid that person is, that director. He's so
like
dumb.
that Offspring song. It's cool to hate.
I haven't heard that song. Was it a single or was it the 5th song on an album?
And it was on the Ixnay on the Hombre album.
Yeah, but I haven't heard it because it wasn't a single, and I'm not an Offspring fan. Now, anyway, back to the thing. You see, you have people are like sheep, right? And there are a lot of psychological mechanisms that may shape your opinion on a piece of text. And that text is a nice word for any human-made piece of art, be it movie, music, novel, painting, or architecture. And people are like sheep, and so they will get like an impression and an expectation of something that it will be bad, and then they have confirmation bias. You know what confirmation bias is?
Yeah, that if you say something often enough, it will become the truth. Or if enough people say it, it will become the truth.
Yeah, kind of like that. Well, let's just quote Wikipedia because I've written it down, and they say, "The tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms one's pre-existing belief or hypothesis."
Yes.
Okay, but you basically said the same thing. It's like everybody spread the idea that something is bad, and then everybody will agree that it's bad, and then You expect it to be bad, and so the mind and your whatever. The next one is peer pressure, and that is peer pressure or social pressure is direct influence on people by peers or an individual who gets encouraged to follow this peer. Blah blah. You know what peer pressure is. I don't need to explain it. And then lack of cultivation. Sometimes to understand a text, one needs knowledge of what it's supposed to be about. I already mentioned M. Night Shyamalan, right? He's not trying to make realistic movies. He's not appealing to the cerebral. He's appealing to the emotional sometimes. Sometimes it is like, that's a good image. That's a good metaphor. I'll add it in even though it doesn't make sense, completely sense. We'll get to that when we talk about M. Night Shyamalan, but there are plenty of times like the idea isn't like based on realistic expectations. I'll mention one. Like, have you seen After Earth?
The one with Will Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like, I accepted that one for what it is, but it was like one scene that I especially felt was like pompous, and that was the one with the eagle. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the one that tries to protect the kid from the cold.
Yeah. That was like I looked into the ear, then I could hear that, like, oh my god. But it was clear. But I also still understood what he was trying to do, right?
Yeah.
This was not supposed to be realistic. This was something to be like emotional. It was supposed to appeal to the emotional, not the cerebral, which I think I've used the term before. Cerebral means when it has to be logical, like not a documentary, but like when we talked about, does science fiction have to be scientifically accurate? When people think that science fiction needs to be scientifically accurate, it means that they want it to be cerebral. It can't be emotional. It can't be imaginative. It has to be realistic. It has to be close to reality. And that appeals to your emotions too. And when people don't understand that, they don't understand that, like in science, you had like, oh, it's so stupid that the aliens came to Earth and are allergic to water, right? It doesn't make any sense, right?
People are still bitching about how the World of Worlds from 2005 have that ending where the aliens are allergic to the air, but it was already in the original.
Yes, but they weren't allergic to the air. They were
the bacterial flora.
Yeah, the bacterial flora, and they weren't allergic to it. They just weren't immune to it. That's the point. Yes, but
if they did something else, then.
By the way, shouldn't there be a spoiler there? Because you're actually saying
spoiler. We have a spoiler claiming a spoiler. What's it called? At the beginning of this video, you just say that warning, this clip contains spoilers about this and this movie.
Okay, we'll do that. Anyway, you're right. And then we're.
But if someone did shoot an alternate ending for that one, people
bitch about
it being not like the original.
Yeah, we talked about it like with sequels too, and how quasi-intellectual people say, oh, they want it to be the same, and then it is the same, but we want it to be different. Like, they can't make up their bleeping mind about what it's supposed to be. It's like they demand it to be perfect, but they don't know what perfect is.
You can't please everyone, especially in this.
Your mis-saying was better. You can't please anyone. Because basically, on the internet now are bred to be critical. You're not smart if you're not being a negative Nancy. But the point is that, okay, I'm not saying, nobody out there in YouTube land should say that. I'm not saying you can't be critical to things and negative towards things. I'm just saying that you have to be critical to your own negative attitudes. That's what I'm saying. That if you're so willing to go out of your way to criticize an artist like M. Night Shyamalan, like Ed Wood, then you may actually be the one who doesn't understand. We'll get back to it when we talk about those two. I'm not going to defend Michael Bay. I'm not going to defend Overball. I'm sorry, but those two I actually think deserve recognition to a certain extent for being artistic, and whether or not they fail or succeed, it doesn't matter. So you see, when you criticize something, sometimes you're just revealing your own small-mindedness. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, lack of cultivation. Sometimes to understand a text, one needs knowledge of what it's supposed to be about. We need historical understanding and understanding of all the text going around it, also known as intertextuality, or if you're an atheist, a meme. Anyway, this may often sound elitist, but it still is true. You say, I may sound like a feinschmecker now, like, oh, I understand art so much better than anyone else. So like, you can't critique it but I have seen enough movies to critique it. I'm not saying that. If you say a movie is bad, then that is your opinion and it is valid. But if you're saying a movie is bad because everybody else around you says it's bad, then you are an idiot. That's what I'm trying to say.
You mean by default?
No, yes and no, no and yes. I'm using strong words there. Of course, let's take Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to hate that. Now I've seen it and I didn't hate it. But we'll talk about that in a later Dr. D and me movie. But if you saw that movie and you hated it because of real reasons that were your own, then of course. But if you, like, for instance, saw all of those YouTube comments, like how they killed Luke Skywalker, how they did this, how they did that, it's so clearly criticizing capitalism, blah, blah, blah. You know all those things that I've said about that movie, right?
Yeah.
And if that's what you saw, then it's probably because you already have preconceived notions. I saw all those videos critiquing The Last Jedi, and when I actually saw The Last Jedi, I thought, yeah, I see their points, but it wasn't as much of an issue as they said it was. You know what I'm saying?
For me, it was kind of a mixed bag. Some parts I agree with, some I don't. I actually understand the part of spoiler, The Last Jedi, when Luke tosses away the lightsaber. For me, it made sense that he will do that. It's kind of old and old grumpy guy tired of war cliche, but it still made sense for me.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, we'll talk about that at a later time. The point I was trying to make is that when the community, let's call it a community, whatever, the cultural community, people interested in pop art, pop culture, entertainment, whatever, when they start to hate something just because of the same, because they have been infected by the idea that it's supposed to be bad. Let's take Ghostbusters 3, for instance. We both seen it, we both talked about it earlier, but we haven't seen it then. When I saw it, I already was filled with all those things like this ideas that this was supposed to be bad. And when I finished watching the movie, I have to say, yes, it was bad. Fine. But I wasn't like, I didn't hate it because all the bad. I wouldn't have watched it, to be honest with you, if I saw no hope in it at all. And I saw that movie and I tried to look for good things, you know.
Yeah, me too. Like the Terminator 5 or Terminator Genesis. You haven't seen that one?
No, I haven't seen it, but I know.
But,
Or have I? I can't remember. Perhaps I have seen it.
Like that one.
I think I have seen it.
And the recent Ghostbusters movie and Last Jedi. Those three movies, I saw a lot of good ideas in it. They were cool ideas.
Were they though?
Yeah,
but
they
okay.
didn't explore it enough.
Anyway, let's move on. So lack of cultivation. This may sound elitist, and it may be true, but we'll see this sometimes when we're watching internet movie critics, because you see like Red Letter Media and Jay and the Nostalgia Critic and Phelan. I don't know if you know all this and drop now, but they sometimes for the joke, because that basically sometimes there's jokes, not Red Letter Media. That they're more serious, but the internet critic in the Nostalgia Critic and all those guys in the Channel Awesome franchise basically are ridiculing the movies, right? And they deliberately misunderstand the point sometimes just for a joke, you know?
I know what you mean. That they, for example, they made just a big deal about the Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park saying all the time. I actually didn't notice that before they made a big deal out of it, because there are many other people doing that. So and I didn't I didn't find it that funny either, so that's just me.
Okay. We see this sometimes when watching indie movie critics, right? They will make fun of a movie as bad, but not understand that what they are mocking may have been intended. Like when you have the South Park movie. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
They make a fun joke about it.
This can't be happening. We have to see this movie, dude. Ah, screw it. It probably isn't all that good anyway. Cartman, what are you talking about? You love Terrence and Phillip. Yeah, but the animation's all crappy.
South Park Cartman. In South Park, Cartman says when they're going into the Ashes of Fire cinema, he's saying like, but the animation is all crappy, right? That's a joke. Because South Park's animation is all crappy. Now, in the internet critics, they will, oh, that's hypocrisy. No, they wouldn't understand that it was supposed to be like that. It's a joke. It's a meta joke. It's a self-referential joke. And so, just to get that point in, just to get a jab at whatever art, they will do that. Oh, but that's so stupid. That's so stupid because South Park's animation is bad. But the point is, South Park's animation is bad intendedly. They made that show with that animation style to make it crappy deliberately. And if people say, I don't like South Park because of that bad animation, then they don't understand South Park.
Long sentence.
But you had something to say?
No.
It looked like you had something to say. Okay, but we may experience this ourselves by rewatching a movie at a later date and discover that what we thought was bad may now be good, or vice versa. Like you get something. Like something like they talk about a plot hole. Like that's like what internet critics do. They talk about plot holes, you know?
Yeah.
No, it's so stupid. It's so goddamn stupid because it doesn't make sense. Blah blah blah.
But then it's individual because it's up to any viewer to decide whether or not they will let the plot hole overshadow the wholeness of the movie itself. Sometimes the plot hole is a little too overwhelming for one individual, but not for one other, and sometimes it's not.
And sometimes it may actually just be a mystery. Like I like to say, it takes a brilliant mind to patch a plot hole. Now, I just said that this is the first time I ever said it. That's not what I usually say. I try to say it takes a brilliant mind to find brilliant things in stupid things. That's what I usually say. But I like that other one too. You know, it takes a brilliant mind to patch a plot hole. You get that?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yes, but
that's gold.
But can I come with one example? Because there has been a plot hole in the first Jurassic Park movie.
Are you going to talk about the lizard thing? We already talked about that.
Can I please just mention an example that the T-Rex in the first movie where the T-Rex bites the hole in the fence, then he walks out, and later in that scene he pushes the car down a cliff which is supposedly on the same hole that the T-Rex bit through. But I always thought that it was the other side of the road that the car was pushed down. Maybe it is, maybe it was not, but my mind thought so. And maybe that's why my mind always, subconsciously filled in that plot hole without me noticing it.
Yes.
So I didn't.
And anyway, all movies are based on suspension of disbelief.
Yes.
And if you're looking for flaws, you're going to find flaws. It's as simple as that. So if that's your intention, walking into a movie and saying, I'm going to find all the flaws, and I'm going to ridicule it. You could do that with Orson Welles' Citizen Kane. You can do that with Gone with the Wind. I'm sure people already have because it's racist. I heard that like Gone with the Wind is racist. So probably like some people have bashed it to the ground. Come on, other masterpieces. We could do that.
Back to the Future.
Titanic. Yes. You can't travel back in time. You can't travel back in time.
Godfather.
You can't eat oranges like that.
Shawshank Redemption.
It wasn't like that. I can't plot hole. It's a perfect movie. You can't. Come on, some plot hole in Shawshank Redemption. I'm sure there are some. Something that doesn't make sense.
How about digging a hole behind a poster, or maybe?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. You can't do that. People would have noticed it, you know. You can't build like a hole in the wall for like 10 years. Somebody would have noticed it, you know. The poster would definitely fall down to the ground at one point while a guard was around, you know. I think it was a little rhyming there. The poster would fall to the ground, but the guard would go around. That's
You should be a
rapping.
rapper.
That should be like Eminem.
Yeah.
I'm like Eminem.
Yes.
Now, anyway, you can always find flaws, but suspension of disbelief is like the criteria, the deal we're making when watching a movie. But I'm not saying you can't say this movie is bad for X, Y, and Z reasons. I'm just saying that if the only intention you have is to tell it's bad. If you walk into the movie deliberately looking for flaws, then you're gonna find it. And it doesn't say anything about the movie itself. It says something about you, that you're a negative Nancy. You're a negative goddamn Nancy. You know?
I know. How do you spell Nancy? Is that like the name Nancy, or?
I think it's that this is the name Nancy. But that's a digression. Moving on. Let's see what else we got on our talking point list there. Sometimes like we watch the movie and we see a plot hole and then we watch it to the end and then we realize that it wasn't a plot hole after all, right? That's called the hermeneutic circle. Or in German, hermeneutical circle. It describes the process of understanding a text hermeneutically. It refers to the idea that one's understanding of the text as a whole is established by referencing to the individual parts, and one understanding of each individual part by referencing the whole. In short, to understand a movie's part, you need to understand its whole, and by understanding the movie as a whole, you need to understand its parts. That's a hermeneutical circle. You heard of that, right, from 3 years of college, right? You know about that, right?
Yeah. Can I come with a fun example? The movie Starship Troopers. It's about humans fighting bugs on another planet. The reason why they do that because the bugs apparently sends meteor to Earth, causing a lot of damage.
Yes.
What I like is that it's actually never explained fully how the bugs send the meteors to the Earth.
Yeah.
Somebody explained it by simply saying, "Oh, the giant bugs that shit plasma into the air, they shit on the meteors, and therefore causes the meteors to be sent to Earth."
Okay.
And a lot of people actually believe that, and I must say that's one hell of accuracy, considering that both the Earth and the bug planet, according to the media within the Starship Troopers universe, claims that Earth and the bug planet are on the opposite sides of the Milky Way galaxy.
Okay. The point is that you could like interpret it in different ways. You could interpret it like the media are lying to us, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a popular understanding of it. Like it's not like the book Starship Troopers has been labeled by social justice warriors. Yes, we're gonna use that term because people are stupid, and one type of stupid person is the social justice warrior. So we're gonna use that term. I labeled Starship Troopers as quote-unquote fascist, right? And then Feinschmeckers, like Jay in the media, has said that like the Starship Troopers movie are mocking the fascist ideas, right? And so one way of interpreting is like the media are lying to us, like they are doing some terror or something like that in that universe, or we could accept it that is the truth. It doesn't matter. That's art. That's your preference. You'll see what you want to see. But the third type of watching this movie is that it's a plot hole. Let's laugh about it. And that's the stupid one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could accept it, like, okay, somehow it worked, like the bugs shot the meteor to the Earth on the other side of the Milky Way, whatever, suspension of disbelief, that whatever. Or you could say the media are lying to us, and the fascist governments are trying to trick us. Another great thing. Or you could say, haha, it's stupid, it's bad, plot hole, blah, 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 and then revealing your own idiocy. Instead of understanding that an art piece is an art piece, and if you just try to destroy it, oh, Mona Lisa's smile is crooked. Ha! It couldn't paint a real smile. You know, everybody could do it. Everybody could go around being an Asperger. That's a reference to South Park, you know. Everybody could be an Asperger.
I am. Sometimes.
No, you're not. You're not an Asperger, neither am I. The next point is sometimes people are expecting something that it was never supposed to be. You know, like we talked about Prometheus. People expected it to be another alien movie, and then Ridley Scott decided to be creative, artistic, going in another direction, and then, but it's not the same! Right? The Feinschmecker. It's not the same. I wanted something the same, but it's not the same.
And then he made a sequel that was actually named Alien.
Covenant, yes, but it's too much the same. It's like just like Alien. The last part is by verbatim. I think that's the term. Verbatim. It's verbatim like Alien. It's too similar. And we'll talk about. Okay, we're jumping to something else, but I'm gonna talk about that. We'll talk about Alien Covenant. Yeah, I think that he made that movie, a lot of it, as a big FU to the audience, because people talk a lot of negativity, and they are so much better than Ridley Scott. They're so much better than the script writers. They're so much smarter and above everything else. And so they were like, and then he said, okay, fine, I'll give you exactly what you want, you got. And another example is like Star Wars, the prequels. We'll talk about Star Wars prequels later. But it's like a theory there. I don't know if you heard it, Dr. D. Have you heard about the Dark Jar Jar theory?
Yeah.
It's like, and the theory there is that Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be a Sith Lord. And if you watch that movie, and if you watch those videos, they point out different areas where he's behaving strangely, he's mimicking the voices. Have you seen that? Like, it isn't just dragged out of the ass. It actually seems plausible to me. Does it seem plausible to you?
Maybe.
Yeah, and
I haven't gone that much into the depth because I'm suffering a little bit of the so-called Star Wars fatigue.
Yeah, but whatever. We're going to talk about it later, and it doesn't matter. The point is that let's say that the Darth Jar Jar theory is right. Then what is explained later is that because of the backlash of the fan community, he decided, oh, I don't dare to do that. I don't dare to do that reveal. So he decided to push Jar Jar Binks in the background. And then Christopher Lee became what he was supposed to be revealed as a Sith Lord or Sith Darth Jar Jar in the second one. But instead just chickened out because of the fan backlash. So they decided Christopher Lee was going to be the Sith Lord. That is what they are theorizing about, and it goes to show that like the fan community, I think for one that could be an interesting twist that Darth Jar Jar. I think so. I really think so that could have worked.
But someone are theorizing about how Jar Jar was so stupid that his involvement in politics inadvertently led to the Empire taking over.
No, but if you pay attention, you see that it makes no sense if he is, and it's the point is like George Lucas said like everything has to rhyme, and then he also said like everything has to rhyme, and Jar Jar is the most important piece. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And so it is, and then you have like that green guy from the Empire Strikes Back. What's he called? You know, the green guy. Everybody knows. Jar Jar, no. Jojo, no.
Jabba?
No.
Yoda?
Yoda, there we go.
The Mogwai?
No, not the... Anyway. What was his name again? It's hot. It's hot in the city. I'm hot.
Jabba the Hutt.
No, not Jabba the Hutt.
Yoda.
Yoda, there we go. He was like stupid in the beginning. Remember that? Oh, smart I think he is. You know, that was like what it was like. And then he's revealed to be this smart person. And so people have said like, if everything rhymes, if Jar Jar Binks is supposed to be like this important piece, then that is most likely the case. Now, they could, of course, have made him like a Sith master. No, sorry, not Sith. It could have been a good guy. But I would have thought it was more interesting if he wasn't a good guy. He was a evil one, and he was like even stronger and more manipulative than Darth Sidious. You know, I am a fan. I called him by his name, Darth Sidious. You know?
Yeah, but that can...
No, that was wrong. Is the Emperor the Darth Sidious?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Also, I heard a lot of people bashing on the prequel simply because they focus more on political aspects instead of the more adventurous side of the old movies.
Yes, but I have to do a little bit of a Nazi Emperor thing there. Put a period because we're going to talk about Star Wars later. The point is, the fan community are stupid, and he had an artistic vision, and then they ruined it. Perhaps is a theory, but perhaps because people are expecting something, and then they're like demanding stuff and getting involved. And instead of like, I'm not saying that you should kiss every director's ass, but I'm saying you should have an ounce of respect. You know, an ounce of goddamn respect to the creator. You're not anything. You're just sitting in a goddamn chair pretending to know something when most likely you don't know jack squat. Have you made a movie? Have you written a script? No. I'm not saying that your opinion isn't valid, but you have to put it in perspective of who you goddamn are. You haven't made a movie. Moving on. So let's now perhaps we'll do it in part 2. Let's make up this a part 2. We're going to talk about the specific directors in part 2. The point is, let's sum it up. What is the point of this video? The point of this video is
a director bad by default because enough people say he is?
And that the goddamn fan community sometimes ruins stuff. You know? If you just... I'm not saying that movies are bad, now good, and you just don't understand it. That's not what I'm saying.
I have the same problem with the albums I love but are shunned by fans of the overall band because it's too different.
Yes, whatever. Like that. It's like... They think they are smart because they're negative. But I'm sorry, there is not an equal sign between being a negative person and smart.
Example, Domination by Morbid Danger are horrible because they try to rip off Pantera. Trollololololololol.
Yeah,
for example.
I think that's a good ending of this video. And in the next part, we're going to talk about the specific directors, Michael Bay, Overball, M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, and Edward. See you next time. Bye bye.
Ciao.